about the rhythm. God gave you feet, now what you gonna do with them? Head high, hands and feet. Head high, hands and feet. Head high, hands and feet.
Daryl Roberts, welcome to Blues on the Hill.
Thanks very much for having us tonight, Baz. It's good to be here.
Tell us a little bit about Daryl Roberts, because it's the first time I've had you in the studio. Give us your musical background and a little bit about you.
Yeah, I've been around for quite a while. Probably started playing back in the 70s in original bands, when Australian music was, of course, at its height as far as popularity and attendance at gigs. Every local pub had fantastic top-line bands on, and of course grew up going to see all those bands in those heady early mid-70s, and then started playing in bands around the 60s, 70s, supporting a lot of big bands in those days.
A lot of blues around then?
There was blues of sort. Of course there was Chain, Carson, that I grew up listening to, were big influences, and a lot of the other bands that came afterwards were all mainly blues orient or blues roots based, or some element of blues in them, because those people went on to other bands like Dingoes, and of course there was other bands like Aerial. We used to go and see, even Cold Chisel had a rootsy sort of bluesy sort of base to their songwriting. Yeah, even with the rocky edge. So there's a lot of bands around that came from that era that had a lot of blues influence. Although I had a lot of heavy blues influence myself, so it was really good to listen to all that sort of stuff. And went on to play in a couple of original bands, and I had a band called Photo in the early days. A guy named Frank Chick, who used to work, it was from a band called Hollywood and Freeway back in those days. And we played around the traps quite a lot. It was really good fun. And then went on to join a band called Fingerprint, which was Neil Johns and Mr. Gallon's guitars.
Okay.
And I joined them for a while, and we were supporting Thorpe and people like that, so it was good.
And Neil Johns, of course, went on to Black Feather?
He was in Black Feather first, and I've since been playing with Black Feather. We got together at Lobby Lloyd's benefit. I met up with him there because I was playing there with Spectrum, and I hadn't seen him since the 70s, and we met up again and played a fair few gigs with Black Feather since. Yeah.
So a rich musical history with all those names you're throwing at me.
Oh, it's been great, because a lot of the Hey Gringo albums, when I first started Hey Gringo, was more or less recording them to pay tribute to a lot of the influences I had. So the early albums had people like Broderick Smith on, of course Ross Wilson. I wrote a couple of songs with Ross that are on the Hey Gringo albums, and he's since recorded on his albums. Kevin Borich is on there. Of course Neil Johns, Spectrum, and
great Kevin. I saw Kevin last year when he came down, still going strong.
Isn't he?
Great to see. And talking about going strong, on Sunday you did something special, didn't you?
Yeah, we had it was a gig that was thrown together by the Way Out West Blues and Roots
great club in Melbourne,
which is great, run by Rob Rowe and his crew.
One of the best blues clubs in Melbourne. Yep.
And they came up with the idea of celebrating Mike Rudd's 70th, which he had actually in June, but they thought it was a good day to pay tribute to him. And they had like videos and memorabilia of the early Spectrum times.
And Q&A, sat down with a Q&A.
Yeah.
How did that go?
That went good. Yeah, it was well received. And I opened up the show with my band Hey Gringo, and then did 2 sets with Spectrum, which was fantastic. Yeah,
great stuff. Now you're going to play some live stuff for us as well. We're going to spin tracks off your new release, of course, which we should talk about as we did with the review, that recorded live at the 2014 Sydney Blues and Roots Festival. So we were just talking about it off air. Tell us about how this came about.
The whole Sydney Blues and Roots Festivals, like a lot of my interstate gigs, I just get pick-up players from whichever state I'm in. And for that particular gig, I picked up Dean Haitani in Albury on the way up, and we played a gig in Albury. And Ivan Frost came up with me on drums. And we used a sax player, a local guy in Albury for that night, and then the one in Sydney he couldn't do, so he named another chap named Ed Schatz, and Ed Schatz caught a train out, and I met him for the first time that morning that we were playing. So
it was just all thrown together, but it does not seem like that, especially when you watch the DVD, and it's a great quality DVD, as that review said. You're back with Baz. You are listening to Blues on the Hill. It's the Oz Blues Hour. My studio guest is Daryl Roberts. We're spinning tracks from his latest release, Hey Gringo, live at the Sydney Blues and Roots Music Festival. Okay, now you do a bit of solo stuff as well, so
yep.
You want to do one for us now?
I might do one off the Wall of Stone album I did back around 2011, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been writing some songs on guitar because I thought it's a bit more portable to take away interstate until I got this other little keyboard, which is a little beauty that I take now. And I thought, well, I'll just do some guitar stuff and see if that goes over okay. So I did that for a little while. Yeah, and this is the track off at Wishing Cup.
Okay. Live blues, folks. Absolutely wonderful. Back with Baz, you are listening to Blues on the Hill. It's the Oz Blues Hour. We are spinning tracks from Daryl Roberts, Hey Gringo, live at the Sydney Blues and Roots Festival. Get your hands on a copy. get onto the website? How do they get it?
HeyGringo.net. You can get it on the website via the online store with PayPal facilities.
Yeah.
Or you can come to a gig.
Come to a gig and pick it up. As you've heard, it's got variety all through it. It's mellow, it's funky, it rocks. A bit of everything. Now, our time is nearly up, so we're going to get a little bit more live blues out of Daryl before he leaves us.
Bit of rolling and tumbling.
Yeah.
Well, I'm rolling and tumbling, I cried the whole night long. Yeah. Ooh, I'm rolling and tumbling, I cried the whole night long. Well, I woke up this morning, didn't know right from wrong. Yeah, I told my baby before I left town. Yeah, I told my baby before I left town. Oh yeah, don't let nobody tear my better house down. Yeah, the river was whiskey, I was a diving bird. The river was whiskey, I was a diving bird. Yeah. Well, I swing to the bottom, man, I never come up. Well, I'm rolling and tumbling, I cried the whole night long. Yeah, I'm rolling and tumbling, I cried the whole night long. And I woke up this morning, didn't know right from wrong.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Thank you very much, Daryl.
Thank you, Barry.
Absolute pleasure having you in the studio.